Hey, this on.
All right, we're here. All right. So, hi, everybody. This is Dr. Radley Griffin with Griffin Concierge Medical in Tampa, Florida, and Dr. Mihaela Telecan with healingwithfoods.org, esteemed author of a new book, Making Peace with Fat, which can be purchased on Amazon. Please purchase. Wonderful book. And this is our part two of our talk of last week that we had to prematurely stop. How to help your kids eat healthy. We had to stop due to some echoing issues, and we thought it was such an important talk that we did not want to continue with auditory issues there. So, Mihaela, welcome. Thanks for joining me. This is
Thank you
great.
so much.
And we
I'm
see you there
excited
in the
about today's
kitchen.
topic. And maybe we should ask if we have live viewers just to let us know they can hear us okay, to make sure.
Yeah, I see we have one viewer, our audience, our one fan out there. And from our viewer, are we coming through okay? If you could post a comment, that would be great. Maybe not. We don't want to put them on the spot.
Okay.
All right. So I think what we can do is kind of retrack a little bit and go over the tips we have so far. So we have our tips here, tips for healthy eating. This was really tip number one. I think it's so important. Is it a meal or is it actually dessert? And I think this goes really across the board from sweet breakfasts to sweet snacks to even sweet beverages. I think we need to start including beverages in as desserts as well. And I think that can provide a lot of clarity. We talked about how we want to eliminate cleaning your plate from our vernacular, especially if it's something maybe we don't really want them eating all of that particular product, such as a refined product. And so that's something we really want to work on. We never want to tell our kids, make sure you finish all of your ice cream or cupcake or something like that. Okay, let's
Not
pick
even your eggs, for that matter.
Sure. I mean, let's listen, and let's let our kids listen to their bodies.
Yeah.
Their bodies are telling them they're full, and if they're off to other things, that's okay. The converse to that, though, is if they are wanting to move toward a dessert, if it's a dessert night, but they still have good protein on their plate, let's make sure they finish that as well, or at least finish all they can. Because if they still have room for ice cream, they can put a few more bits of chicken in their mouth. Okay, so. And then another thing we talked about, healthy tip number 3, healthy food first. So if there is something that they're going to eat right away, maybe it's a more carbohydrate forward side dish. Maybe we have them eat the good fats and the good protein on their plate first before they devour that particular carbohydrate right away and have no room left for some of the other products on their plate.
Absolutely.
And then here we have, then we kind of left off at the last one here. Water is our primary beverage. Too often, I talked with, patients all the time where, I'm doing pretty good on my diet. My kids do pretty good, but we do a lot of juices. We do a lot of, in the South, we have sweet tea. And I remember drinking sweet tea at a very early age, learning how to make sweet tea at a very early age. Things like lemonade, Gatorade, Powerade. We are just completely inundated with these sweet products. And we want to primarily have water first always. And so, Mihaela, I think you're in the kitchen today, which is great. And let's kind of start from there, talking about some more beverage ideas, because a lot of times with the kids and water, they're just not water drinkers. And how can we kind of flavor that up a little bit to make it exciting for the kids?
Absolutely. So there is something that, oh no, again. You hear the echo?
No. Oh.
Okay, we have to hear from our listeners. The reason I'm in the kitchen today is because I want to demonstrate few of the beverages and foods or snacks that I personally use in our household and with my son, to make it more practical, so our viewers actually can, after watching this video, can go to the store and buy, or go
Yeah.
online and buy some of those things. So with regards to beverages, I think key is just like with foods. If you have young children, expose them to water and whole fresh foods right from the beginning.
Right.
Chances are that if if you drink water and if you eat whole foods, they will eat the same. They tend to do what we do, not necessarily what we say. So instill in their mind that water is for hydration. Are you thirsty? You drink water. Juice or anything else, maybe an occasional treat, or maybe, I don't know, fit in, like we said, in the dessert family. So aside from water, you can offer your children, and I have here to demonstrate, a flavored water that you make in your own home. And it's just so simple. Literally, I put these fruits here uh, like 1 minute before we started our video. I throw in few fresh raspberries, fresh blackberries, and I have frozen wild blueberries, which I buy in big bag from Costco. And the blueberries, because they are frozen, or I don't know why, they color the water or the yogurt for that matter, because I tend to use the same mix in Andre's yogurt when I prepare like
Yeah.
a dessert, like a frappe, but
Yeah.
it's just yogurt with fruits and nuts and seeds and honey. So all I put is the fresh berries. It's nicely colored. By 5 p.m. or 4 p.m. when we get home after I pick him up from school, this is going to have the aroma. It's going to smell like the berries, and it's going to be a little flavored like the berries. So it's an option.
Yeah.
To this one, often what I do, and I didn't bring it up, I buy balsamic vinegar, which is aged.
Yes.
And I add a little bit of that vinegar, which doesn't have added sugar. It's just the residual sugar that's present in the balsamic. And that's just to sweeten a little bit and to give a little fuzz. So it has those bubbles that people like soda-like bubbles,
Sure.
obviously not as strong. So that's one great way to give your kid a refreshing drink when they sweat, they come from home from the outside and they are hot, and after they are hydrated, if they still want to drink something,
Right.
that's more fun. Another one is kombucha. And this one actually is by Kevita. They have these fermented drinks that are, it's actually not even kombucha, it's apple cider vinegar that's fermented with live cultures. This particular one, let me see, it has actually 1 gram of carb, that's it, in 8 ounces. So this is fermented, and it's for the ingredient, purified water, Kevita probiotic culture, and apple cider vinegar.
Oh,
So
great.
again, same idea like with the balsamic vinegar, that I would put like a teaspoon in a whole 8 ounce. And it's when, let's say, we have guests and adults have wine, he says this is his wine. It's like his special celebratory.
Yeah, that's very
drink,
nice.
right?
So I guess
Who wants
out
to
there,
participate?
so in my family, our girls, they drink water, they drink milk, and really that's it. But there's a lot of families out there who have older kids. They're already on soda, they're already on Powerade, Gatorade, they're already in that world, and now it's time to scale back.
So kombucha is a great
Yeah, how do we get them back to
transition.
this world? I mean, what's some tips out there for people who are just trying to do a little bit better?
That would be a great, like the flavor water, where you add this natural way of sweetening, like the vinegar, the balsamic vinegar, or kombucha, or this kind of Kevita has many which are not kombucha, because kombucha has, it says to have, has alcohol, so it's questionable if you want to give it to your kids and how much,
Yeah.
how much residual alcohol is in there. But that would be an option. to give this as a transition instead of the soda. At
Yeah,
first, they will not like it because it's still a big difference in taste and
absolutely.
sweetness. But the more you encourage them to try it, the faster their taste buds will become used to less sweet and a slightly different taste, and they will accept it.
Yeah,
I
I
hope so. I
agree.
don't have grown-up children that need to transition from soda, but if any parents here will try this approach, we would be happy for them to comment and let us know how
Yeah.
it works. But
Yeah,
from my
we love the tips, and what we did, and personally speaking, I used to drink Coca-Cola like water basically, and things like Mountain Dew, and oh my gosh, it was just it was gluttonous. It was a primary beverage as opposed to water. What I did personally is I ceased to carry those things in the house. I just was not going to have them in the home right there at arm's length to have any time. And I think that's a way we could start with our kids too, is to say, hey, look,
don't bring
we're
them.
not going to keep these in the house. Maybe there's an initial rule of, okay, with an ultimate goal of scaling back, we're not going to keep it in the house. But I'm also not going to, if you're at a birthday party and they have a juice box, okay, that's part of your celebration perhaps, maybe at dinner. But really the idea is to really start ingraining over time that these sugary drinks are a form of dessert. They are a sweet treat, and they should not be considered a primary source of hydration by any means. Okay,
Yes.
so I think number one is recognition, and then doing whatever we can to transition off of the sugary beverages. And Dr. Campbell, I'm so glad. Thank you for tuning in. This is Dr. Ellie Campbell. My colleague leaves here a wonderful tip, and this is a good segue to the next tip. We let our kids cook and shop with us.
Yes.
When they choose the menu, they are more likely to eat it. That is absolutely true. They need to see things in their primary form, especially the little kids, to know that, hey, this combined dinner is not actually scary at all. I actually know every ingredient that's going in. In fact, I help pick them. The kids are much more likely to eat them, especially when they're participating. I agree 100%. And then they said, ask them to shop for produce they like with at least one thing from every color of the rainbow. What a wonderful interactive way to get the kids involved. So thank you, Dr. Campbell. That's a wonderful tip. And I think that leads to the next one where we start talking about where we're packing their lunch. We want to not let our kids sort of be beholden to someone else planning their nutrition. Last time I told the story of snack day at a local preschool where the snacks were vanilla cookies, vanilla wafer cookies. And you're thinking, oh my gosh, you are going to have a nightmare of a scenario in about an hour when all of these the kids' blood sugars are crashing as a unit. So that's when we pack their lunch, the kids are involved. I ask my daughter every day, okay, here are your choices for lunch today. What would you like from these choices? And because I guarantee they're going to go to school anyway, and there's going to be junk food there anyway, and so we can at least control a portion of that when we're packing their lunch. It does take extra effort, but I think it's really worth it.
Yes, absolutely. I totally agree with you. I pack lunch with Andre every day. Sometimes I make sandwich for him with gluten-free bread. I want to show especially for Florida, this is here in Florida, and I feel very full. I'm wondering. So this is most gluten-free products are not clean products. They are highly refined and they have lots of undesirable ingredients. This one is made by D-Land and is millet zucchini. Can you see?
Yes, I can. D-Land, yes.
So if we look at the ingredients, it's organic millet flour, organic zucchini, organic cabbage, organic carrot, organic carrot juice, baking powder, filtered water, sea salt.
Great.
It doesn't have rice, doesn't have corn, doesn't have gums. So it's pretty clean and closer to like whole foods. Of course, it doesn't have much fiber either. So it's not low carb, but again, children are growing, we are okay with them having some carbohydrates. So I make a sandwich for him with this and some cold cuts that are clean.
Yeah.
No nitrates, no preservatives. Here I have one that I buy. It's the turkey pepperoni. I usually use this one for pizza. Sometimes I put in the sandwich. When I make almond crust pizza for Andrei, we use this. And this one is also just turkey, salt, less than 2% dextrose, celery powder, rosemary extract, spices, paprika, again, cherry powder, and lactic acid as a culture. So
Yeah, that's
no
very
sugar
good.
added. Well, it has dextrose, but less than 2%, and no preservatives of any sort, as an example. Most days I try to pack just lunch, a vegetable and some protein. I may prepare that in the morning, or it's already leftovers from dinner, and I just warm it up in the morning and I put in his lunch bag. Very rare I put starches with him unless it's the sandwich.
Bread, yeah.
He's used to eating just food, right?
Yeah.
And he doesn't even ask for rice or anything like that. But then he'll have as a snack fruits, fresh fruits, sometimes dry like dates or figs. Um, a bar such as Lara bar. Again, I really try to go for least processed. Lara bar. This particular one is dates, almonds, walnuts, raisins, and pineapple, and unsweetened coconut. Sometimes I buy the cashew one that's just cashews and dates. So for him to have something sweet, but not spiking the blood sugar because of the fat and the protein that's coming with the nuts. So it
Right.
slows down the absorption of sugar. Um, so I guess that's kind of what goes in my kid lunch, and I encourage parents to make an effort to just save some leftovers from dinner they already
Yeah.
prepared, put it in a container that they can put in the oven in the morning and warm up, and then put it in their lunch bag, and they will get used to the idea that even if I'm in school, I'm still eating food for
Right.
lunch. It's not only when I'm home with my parents.
Right.
And occasionally a sandwich or something like or a quesadilla or something that's more fun and other children would have in school, or a wrap with vegetables and always vegetables and protein
Yeah.
with it.
I think we do something very similar. We'll make a sandwich. We use the Boar's Head does have a nice all natural turkey and all natural ham, uncured, which we'll use. We'll typically use a low carb, high fiber bread, which the girls don't seem to mind, which is good. And my daughter, she likes dipping things, so we will slice some cucumbers, and she likes to dip those in we'll make her a cream cheese dip, and we have a lunchbox that's actually as a doubled as a cool pack. So by the time the kids eat lunch early, she eats lunch at I think like 10:30. So it remains cool, and she loves the idea of the dipping the cucumbers in the cream cheese dip, and that's really nice for her. She's getting some nice fat. It sort of mimics that homemade Lunchables, which all the kids are eating, which is the crackers and the processed meats and the cheese, and they usually have some M&Ms in there. So it's kind of her take on that. And sometimes we'll put in some fish dip and use a type of cracker or a Parmesan crisp, nice and crunchy, and she'll dip that in a fish dip or a seafood dip. So that's kind of a neat idea to kind of change it up a little bit, because again, I get into the habit where I make her the same thing every day, and I think she gets sick of it. So the kids will sometimes help drive that ship, and that's Dr. Campbell's advice too. Maybe let's bring hey, what do you want for lunch? Not only are we picking out dinner, what are some lunch things? And of course, when you're at the grocery store, though, my kids especially, we're running through the aisles. Oh my gosh, it's like, I want this, I want this. They see the advertising, it's in their face, and it's a constant, deflection of big food advertising. So as we're
And what
walking through
ends
the
up in your
aisles.
cart in your
Oh
shopping.
gosh. And so and they're just grabbing, oh, I want that. Oh, I want Fruit Loops. And no, 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 no. So it's a challenge for sure. So we want to pack their lunch when we can. The next tip I thought was interesting because this happened. I tend to provide tips of my own life. So like Dr. Campbell, I want everybody to provide their own tips in the comments. Is determine hunger versus craving. And it's a sense of where my kids will come up and they'll say, Daddy, I'm hungry. I say, well, great, you're hungry. Let's go see what we can have. And I'll say, okay, let's have some, well, something that's on the, let's say the low carb menu, or the low sugar menu more specifically. Some cheese, some cold cuts. Do you need a sandwich even? What are you hungry for? And you present these options, and they say, no, I'm actually hungry for sugar. So I'm like, oh, okay. So this is a craving. You're craving something here, and so Mihaela, what are some tips for dealing with that? Because all parents, we deal with that. We feel like, gosh, I just fed you, 5 minutes ago, and you're still hungry, and we want to pull out our hair. So what are some tips where we can continue to deal with our kids who are constantly hungry? They're growing and their metabolisms are through the roof. So how can we continue to satisfy that without succumbing to the sugar?
Right. I think what you said is brilliant because we want to make sure they understand the difference between hunger and a craving for sweet,
Right.
which they do have, just like we have. Once you start eating sugar, you crave it, no matter what age you are, right? So that's number one. Just talk to them and say, okay, if you're hungry and I offer you soup or I offer you the sandwich and you tell me no, that means you're not really hungry.
Yeah, right.
So
Right.
we want them to understand that. And then if they really do want something sweet and we want to give in, we say, okay, so let you eat this first. And then if you still have room in your stomach later, then I'll give you, a bite or whatever is the portion for that thing that they want. Often with Andre, he does that exactly. Oh, mommy, I'm hungry. Andre, you can be hungry. It's just not even half an hour since we ate.
Right.
Oh, but I'm hungry. And he goes to the pantry. And what he actually wants is sugar.
Yeah.
So he has these cough drops I buy for him with zinc from the health store. And he said, okay, maybe I'm not hungry. I just want for my throat. So I'm thinking, okay, so maybe he wants something sweet after we ate.
Right.
Okay, that's okay. It's winter, to help him with his cold and to not to say no to him so he feels deprived. I say, okay, Andre, you can have one cough drop.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I want to make sure if you're hungry, I give you food. And
Yeah.
I was like, no, actually, all I want is a cough drop.
We have the same thing. We have a probiotic for kids, an ENT probiotic, and it's so fun. And I guess it has a little bit of sweetness to it, but they chew that up. It's so interesting. Kids are so interesting to me, and I think it's just like adults when we're going in this no sugar world, this low sugar lifestyle. It takes effort. Remember, this is mindfulness, and a lot of times it's easy to order in. It's easy to just succumb to what our kids are wanting. But I think if we plan a nice menu or plan options, yes, some of these things take time. So, but I think our kids are worth it, obviously, and it takes time for us to even make them a snack. It's a heck of a lot easier to grab a bag of goldfish than it is to slice some cucumbers or tomatoes, or even peel an orange, for instance, or an apple. That takes effort, but let's make the effort. I think as parents,
Absolutely.
they're
And
absolutely worth it.
for us too, because if we eat the same, they understand that's the normal way of eating,
Yes.
right? And then when they go out and somebody eats in a different way, they will ask, why are they eating like that? And then you can explain, well, we are eating this way because we understand the power of food in the way we feel. And we emphasize that in our family. Not everybody knows. Maybe we can educate. In fact, he knows that's what I'm doing. So he knows I'm educating him and everybody that's open to hearing,
Yes.
because not everybody is open to hearing.
Well, what a
So
wonderful segue for tip number 7. Educate our kids.
yes,
I think it's important to have these discussions, especially when we're trying to transition off of sugars, off of sweet drinks. Is that understanding of, hey, and it's always by example too. So I think it starts with the parents. It starts with the person in the mirror for sure. And then when our kids start seeing that, hey, mom and dad are doing something different. They know, they see everything. They hear every
yes,
word we say, especially every curse word, apparently. So, and they're also watching exactly what we're eating. And especially if they see us sneaking something,
oh yeah,
you better make sure they're in bed because they see every single thing that we
and
do. So, of course, it starts with us. And then, with me, it was, and I tell people, I'm 41, about to be 42, and I've been doing this only for 40. I've only started doing this in the past year and a half, 2 years. So we all have to start somewhere, I think. And my daughter asked me, Daddy, why don't you eat sugar? And I'll explain to her, well, it's sugar in my body it does not treat my body well. I don't feel good here's how I feel when I eat sugar. It upsets my stomach. It makes me crabby. It makes my back hurt. All these things and now that I don't have it, it makes me feel so good. And she thinks, she immediately relates to, it doesn't make him feel good. Okay. But she told me, she's like, well, okay, then that's more for me. So, but we started the conversation. And now it's interesting. She looks at labels and she looks at how much sugar, and she's 7. She looks at how much sugar is on a particular product. And I think there's nothing wrong with our kids having a knowledge of what's in their foods. And I think it starts with that conversation.
I agree. Exactly the same thing with Andre. I'm talking about when we go shopping with him, some tips. Before we go shopping, we always say, Andre, you can choose one thing that's on the yummy category. And we always have to look at the ingredients to make sure, because although it's a health store, doesn't mean everything in there is good for you. Right? So he has to choose one only. So he has to think very well, and he always asks, Mommy, let's look at the ingredients. Let's see, is this okay? Will this be good for me? So
what would be your threshold? What is it like in a particular yummy product? What do you have a particular threshold for sugar content for that particular yummy treat? What would a good guideline be for our parents out there?
I look more for ingredients quality.
Okay.
Don't have too many processed ingredients. For example, he likes gummy bear. They are sweet. So what I teach him, look, Andre, you see the serving size here, it's 5 gummy bears. You can't eat the entire bag at one time. Right. So you count 5 and you can have 5 every day, let's say, for example. And we look at the ingredients. You see this one is colored with fruit or vegetable pigments. This one is not. So we don't choose the one that's with petroleum base. I say these words, the exact words, genetically modified or petroleum based. So he looks at the quality. And then, of course, we look for the lower the number for sugar, the better. Or if it's sweetened with honey, with more natural sweeteners versus, for sure, not artificial, but even sugar. Like if we can get a brown syrup or a molasses, not molasses, the other one, a maple syrup sweetened or honey, it's better than just pure sugar, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. I think you can very easily. This could be very interactive with our kids too. I think for those out there who are trying to transition to this world, I think a big buzzword out there is high fructose corn syrup.
Yes.
And I'm even seeing on labels these days just the high fructose is omitted. It just says corn syrup, which I think is kind of interesting. But getting your kids to say, okay, well, let's look at these labels, whether it be bread, whether it be
Oh yeah,
whatever it may
mayonnaise,
be.
ketchup, sausages, you name it. They
Yeah, just
all
say,
have
do you
it.
see
Yeah.
these key words there? And if it says them, okay. And especially looking at the label, what is the first ingredient? If the first ingredient, obviously in gummy bears, it's sugar, of course. Well, we know that. But if it's another product that's, maybe we assume it's not primarily sugar. So
For example, I buy these chips, the beet
beet
chips.
chips.
These are beets, high oleic sunflower oil, and sea salt. And these
That's
are
it.
kind of sweet
Yeah,
and crunchy. Broccoli crisp for something crunchy. It's just broccoli and salt, I believe. No, oil. That's one complaint. I wish it had salt. We buy dark chocolate,
yes, we do too.
very dark chocolate, 90%, and he actually eats it. He eats the sweet one. If I give him the sweet one, he'll eat
Of
that.
course.
But he also eats this one. So he's used to having dark chocolate. Um,
And you can graduate them up. You can start out at a lower percentage and
and
graduate and
slowly
move
go
that
up.
upward as they go
But
along.
yeah, again, it goes to depending on where you start.
Right.
He started from the get-go with dark chocolate.
Yeah.
So that's what he tasted first before he had the sweet one. Of course, he's like, oh, I want daddy's chocolate, not your chocolate.
Well, let me ask you this. Let me put you on the spot. So let's say it's Andre's birthday party, and of course, every birthday party you go to, there's cupcakes or some sort of sweet treats. How do you guys handle it? I mean, you are a professor of healthy eating, and so how do we handle the birthday parties and things like that?
For hours, I control because I made everything
Yeah,
we offer. So I usually make a cake. It's a flourless cake
yeah,
with chocolate. And I modify the recipe. Originally sweetened with sugar, which
okay,
is okay, not terrible. At least it's flourless. But I sweetened the flourless dough, the walnut with dates, and
okay,
the cream, which is chocolate based. I sweeten with honey because it's cooked on by marine, so it doesn't actually boil the honey. It's low
okay.
temperature, and it's a quite delicious.
Wait, do the kids think it's delicious?
And the kids like it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's actually yummy. I made that for several of my friends, and they always ask me for the recipe, which
Okay.
I didn't give away because I don't know. It's my secret recipe. It's Romanian recipe, believe it or not.
Well, don't keep it
Uh,
to yourself. We might need that for health.
one day maybe I'll make it to sell it. It's
That's
it's a
good.
really a yummy cake, and especially even modified. People actually like it better because of the dates that flavor the whole cake
Yeah.
versus just sugar. If we go to parties, I close my eyes. I tell Andre, if you eat, have just one
Yeah.
bite. They have pizza, they have all these colored things. It literally gets me nauseous when I see the blue and the pink, and I'm like, how come parents don't put the two and two together? This is just not. The latest thing is this Pokemon. Every kid birthday you go, they have this Pokemon cake. I'm thinking, Pokemon, look at the card, don't eat it. Or
Hey, I get
Transformers, or
it.
I
You're
don't
in
know what.
survival. You don't want to be at the birthday party anyway, so and you're
So
just trying to survive, and so it's really tough out there. So
it's
it's
not easy. I try to teach him, and often after those, he either throws up or he has diarrhea. Because he's not used to
that's
it.
right.
And I remind him, you see, Andre, it's not good for you, mommy. Oh, but
Yeah,
I don't have any allergies. I said, thank God you don't have allergies. But
yeah,
it doesn't mean it doesn't affect you in a negative way. So
right.
if you have less, or, because everybody has it. So and he always comes and asks me, can I have, mommy, can I have? So
I know it's
it's
constant.
tough. We have to, kind of juggle it. So he learns that yeah, you can have it, but it's not necessarily good for you.
Yeah.
If every weekend is a birthday party, I will skip some of them. That's for
No,
sure.
absolutely. Well, and that's we kind of do that on the weekends. So we in our family we do designate dessert days and or treat days, and I think it gives us a bit of control. And our daughter actually came up with this because she was at a young age, she was upset at the inconsistency of which she was receiving her sugar. So she wanted to have something she could count on. So she actually proposed the idea of designated days. And
Nice.
it's kind of for her, she to come up with that I think is really interesting because it's something for her to look forward to. She something she can count on in her life. And but there's rules there as well. And so this has worked really well for us. So we were designating Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for dessert days where they'd get a treat. And it kind of gave us control of if we went to a birthday party on the weekend, we'd say, okay, they have the food here. They also have this sweet treat. Do you want that to be your dessert today?
Hmm.
And they had a choice to make, and they could make that choice of having that cupcake. And of course, they always chose it, and then later on, when they still said, "Daddy, it's a dessert day," I said, "Well, you had your dessert earlier." It was hard. It was easier for them to reconcile and say, "Okay, yeah, he's right. I did have that earlier."
Yeah.
And then we started, splitting those because Mihaela, you had a conversation with me, and you said, a lot of times it's when we start having something on a regular basis, it causes us to want it even more. And so through your counsel, I said, let's split those dessert days. So now we have a dessert day on Saturday, and the next is on Wednesday. And so that's worked well for us in the sense that it gives the kids something to look forward to.
Hmm.
As parents, it gives us sort of a rule. And kids like to follow rules, I think,
Yes.
and we stick to it. We say, hey, this is it's not a dessert day. I'm sorry. And then they get it. They say, and when we're at the grocery store and they're wanting that sweet treat, that yummy treat, they can get something in, but we designate it for their particular dessert day. So they love getting the little Nutella treats with a little bit of Nutella chocolate, and they dip their little sticks in there and they eat that. And they like to get that for a Wednesday dessert night. But then when dessert day comes, we still leverage dessert day or dessert to finish their meal. They don't get dessert if they don't eat a good meal. So it gives a bit of power. It gives a bit of structure, I think, and it's not really an emotional free for all. And just know that your kids are getting plenty of sugar
Oh,
without you knowing it. They just
well,
are.
for us, it's the fruits, right? We give them fruits every day, so they get. It's not like they are sweet deprived.
They are absolutely not. They're getting lollipops at school. They're just getting it at their friend's house. They're getting so much sugar in their lives. And so don't feel bad about having some structure in the home, scaling back on what you're doing at home. Trust me, they are getting plenty. Okay, so I think that's really important. Well, I think we've had a good discussion here. Again, please discuss and add more tips because, and I say that selfishly, with a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old, I want more tips from our viewers, smart tips out there from our brilliant parents who were just like Mihaela and myself. We're just trying to survive. We're trying to figure this out, come up with good techniques for our kids.
I think I would like to add one more thing for moms or dads if they are involved in school.
Yes,
Um, Try to communicate that to the educators because they want parents to say that because they see the behavior of the children
right.
when they are all hyped up because of the sugar they eat. And if it's possible, if as a classroom, the mothers to get together in PTO meetings and to say, let's have this as a policy for our class or for our school, where if we bring anything for any celebration that's happening in the school, to take in fruit or a low sugar or no sugar, because moms that care for any mom care for the health of their kids. But if you already know something that somebody else can benefit from, share and invite the
Absolutely.
parents and the teachers to all get involved. And again, involve your children in snacks preparation, in lunch, in shopping, and all that, along with education, and you doing it with them, and you being vulnerable and telling them, Andre, Andre's my son. You said to your child, I'm giving up sugar, and it's so difficult. It makes me think about it all the time. So Andre says this, Mommy, this is too good. It makes me not want to stop eating. We should put it away. So he read because he hears me saying, "Oh, Andre, when you eat something that you can't stop eating, that's a red flag."
Yeah, absolutely.
It's too good. You
I
need to
know.
use some willpower to stop. So I guess my message for the moms and parents out there is get involved, make the change within yourself, and engage the whole family and the community around you, because it's hard when you try to do it all by yourself.
Absolutely.
You gotta have the support, whichever way you can get it. Look
I
for
would
it.
I would go so far as to say it's impossible. It's impossible to do it by yourself, and it can't be accomplished in the long term. I think for the majority of us, unless the entire family is adopting it, and there's a saying that says the best sermon or the best message is living by example. So it starts with us, it starts with each individual person, and then with our kids, let's continue that message, and then as a unit, we change the I to a we. We
Yeah,
eat this way, not I eat this way. We eat this
yeah,
way, and we
I like
just
that.
try to be consistent with that. So we're all in this together, okay?
Awesome. I
All
hope
right,
this
this
is
is
helpful
great.
for everybody. Oh, I wanted to show one more thing
Yeah,
because
show it.
before we close, this is chicken franks for hot dogs. I don't usually make the hot dogs. I just buy this and I make it with vegetables.
Okay.
But what is nice about this one, and I like this company, Bell and Evans, they use whole muscle meat, not mechanically separated meat.
Okay.
And they really taste good. That's another, because kids love hot dogs.
They do.
So I make it and he eats it with mustard and whatever else it's served, not necessarily with the bread itself.
Right. Well, good. Very good. Well, everyone, please share your tips, and we will be back next week. And I
Next week,
don't, yeah,
yes,
next week we'll be back. The week after, I will be
we'll take
out.
vacation, right?
Yes, and we'll be out. But we'll come in next week with another topic. Please post your comments, suggestions, your own hacks that you've discovered over the years. And I know I will enjoy reading those and learning from our viewers. And then I know everyone else will as well. So until then, thank you for joining us. Mihaela, thank you.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.